ZBA is a fact-finding body, and to grant variance, it must determine the existence of special conditions other than solely financial, which create an undue hardship for the applicant. Positive action requires an affirmative vote by at least 4 of the 5 members. ZBA decisions are final, and recourse from ZBA decisions is to a court of law. For items scheduled for a public hearing, residents will have the opportunity to comment on agenda items. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, members of the board shall not discuss, deliberate, or make any decisions on topics not posted as an agenda item. Speakers should state their name and full address for the record and address all remarks to the board. The board asks that public remarks be limited to no more than 3 minutes. At this time, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. At this time, we will swear in a new member.
Y'all can go here. Let's do it all. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Margaret Forbes,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I have not directly or indirectly paid,
that I have not directly or indirectly paid,
offered, promised to pay,
offered, or promised to pay,
contributed or promised to contribute
contributed or promised to contribute
any money or thing of value,
any money or thing of value,
or promised any public office or employment,
or promised any public office or employment,
or the giving or withholding of a vote
for the giving or withholding of a vote
at the election at which I was elected,
at the election at which I was elected,
or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation,
or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation,
whichever the case may be,
whichever the case may be.
so help me God.
So help me God.
All right, oath of office. I state your name,
I, Margaret Forbes,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of zoning board of adjustment,
of the office of zoning board of adjustment,
board member
board member
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will hold to the best of my ability,
and will hold to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States,
and of this state, so help me God.
and of this state, so help me God.
All right, you're wishing me. And I'll get y'all to sign this after. Is that okay?
Okay, I need for one of you to come forward and take your seat.
Ed, good to see you.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, David. Nice to meet you. I always struggle with this chair.
At this time, we will appoint a chair to the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
We conduct that by vote or what?
Yes, I think so.
I would nominate Rhonda Ward.
Okay. We have one nomination for us, Rhonda Ward. Are there any others? Okay, let's vote. Larry?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Okay, vote 5-0. Rhonda Ward will be the new chair. At this time, we'll have the approval of minutes from the June 20th, 2024 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Move that they be approved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Larry made the motion, Ed made the second, and at this time, we'll vote. Larry?
Aye.
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 I'm gonna abstain.
Okay, thank you very much. We have 4 ayes and 1 abstention. The regular agenda. The public hearing. Consider a request for a variance to the zoning ordinance 118-427. A, for a reduction in the minimum lot depth requirements in an R2 single-family district for a proposed subdivision of Lot 12, City Block 41, located at 1102 Logansport Street. This request has been submitted by the owner Rudy Bohack, case file number ZBA 2024-04.
I have a question about the agenda. According to the agenda, it says appoint a chair and vice chair.
According to 1-3 in the organization's officers and staff, the chair shall preside at all meetings. In the absence of the chair, the acting chair shall preside. The acting chair shall be a regular member, or if no regular member is present, then an alternate member whose last name is closest to the beginning of the alphabet.
So that item on the agenda was not supposed to be there, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We should change that.
Welcome, everybody. Sorry about this little, we were unaware that this was not working. I'm not sure if it's on my end or what it is, so I apologize. And I'm sorry that Juan's not there. He unfortunately is out sick with COVID right now, and I'm coming to you from the great state of Wisconsin. I'm traveling for a friend's wedding, so welcome this afternoon, and we're here to look at variance to section 118-427, the reduction in minimum lot dimensions for a proposed subdivision at 1102 Logansport Street. You could switch the. Okay, and so I'm sure everyone is aware, this item has been before you before. This is on the eastern side of Logansport. Here's the map. You can change the slide, please. And just gives you an aerial that shows that this particular property is in existence with a single-family residential lot on it. The request before you today is that the lot dimension that is measured perpendicularly from Logansport Road to the east is around 88 feet. And so that would be in direct contradiction to our ordinance, which is 118-427, which calls out depths of lots, and minimum depth for an R2 zoning lot or parcel is 100 feet. Could you move to the next slide, please? I'm sorry, I think I got a little flustered with all of these changes here. Okay, so here's the zoning map. I wanted to kind of give you an idea of what's around there. This might jog your memory too. When this came before you before, it was rezoned back in 2020, and there was to R4, which is a multifamily lot. And just recently this year, there was a request to make a change to this, and there was a request to change this back to R2. So currently that particular zoning map amendment has been completed and moved back to R2, which gives a minimum of a 6,000 square foot lot can be built here. We understand that because of the size of the lot, there is a possibility that the homeowner will come in and do a proposed subdivision of lots, and they will subdivide this property into 3 and construct, and only be able to construct single-family detached homes on it with the size of the lot can be 6,000 square feet, but because, again, the size of this property, there'll be roughly 15,000 square feet each. Please switch the slide. Again, here are some photos, kind of looking north on the property. This is existing property. It's vacant on the southern side and also on the northern side of this. You can change the. Thank you. This is again looking up to the south of Logansport, down near the park. So, why are we here today? It's a variance is a request to deviate from the typical development standards that are associated with our zoning ordinance, and this particular one states that our depth of our lots, when made or subdivided, need to be at least 100 feet deep. And then the zoning ordinance may be granted by this local agency if the property owner can demonstrate that a strict compliance with the zoning regulations would cause undue hardship, or that there would be a unique circumstance that justified this variance. Please switch a slide. So, as discussed before, the background to this property is that it was not platted and has been in this current configuration since before 1970. Current landowner did not create this lot in its current configuration, but it is something that he wants to develop. So, and this is a variance or an exception to this lot dimension only. There's no, we're not talking about land use or anything else. We are just talking about the depth of the lot is what is being requested for a variance. And as I stated before, 100 feet is the minimum depth, but this will be at 88 feet. In 2020, I also stated before that this was changed from R2 to R4. And then in 2023, there was an appeal to the ZBA by the city for the city planner's interpretation regarding the approval, which again you heard. The appeal was upheld, resulting in the request for this variance. And as part of that discussion, what we understand is that the local community got together with the owner, and they requested to, or the owner ended up coming back in and requesting a change to the zoning, and it changed to R2 recently in 2024, June 2024. Next slide, please. So we just wanted to kind of show you what the surrounding land uses are in the area. And again, this is just a reminder that there are some undeveloped lots, duplex rentals, mostly single family within this area. And then the biggest landowner in the area is the park, and that's to the north of the property. Next slide, please. And again, it was my understanding that before the meeting, and something might have changed, but there was no responses at this particular time for this particular public hearing. So we didn't receive any sort of any in favor or against at this particular time. Unless, Amy, if you could respond if there was a change.
There's no changes.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So again, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that this variance is just for the lot depth, specifically for that, and the owner is requesting to decrease is not requesting to decrease any other property development standards. The applicant is asking to use the lot in its current configuration. All requirements for development will need to be met per the city ordinances, including but not limited to the zoning and the building codes. And if any of those ordinances would request to be or to lessen, or the owner wants to do something different, those would again be looked at as another variance, and they would have to come back before this board. And just a reminder that the zoning amendment did occur earlier this year from R4 to R2. Next slide, please. This is a proposed subdivision of what the owner was looking to do at this particular time. Has not done it as of yet. This is not recorded or has not been submitted. You can see that the proposed lines that they're looking to do are going to be 105, but as we would measure it, and as we've seen before, is that we would be measuring perpendicular. And I'm not sure if you can see my mouse. I probably can't see my mouse, but perpendicular on this particular plat would be the line that you see that says approximate sewer line. That would be perpendicular from the road from Logansport. And these lines, these separate lot lines would not be in perpendicular. And that's what we're requesting the variance to. Next slide, please. And again, these are just comparing the current plan and the proposed plan so you can see the change. I'm sorry, hold on here. So as part of what, I'm sorry? Was there a question? No, okay, sorry. So as part of what we do here as this board is we have to we have to answer the questions, conditions, and findings for this approval. And is that each of these requests are reasonable in their response, is that such variance in harmony with the intent of the purpose of the comprehensive plan in this chapter. Yes, as we can see that the surrounding area from the comprehensive plan is called out as residential, and this is going to be residential. And that such variance will not substantially permanently injure the appropriate use of the adjacent property in the same district. Again, the answer would be no, due to the fact that they're going to be building the same types of homes, single-family residential detached in the future, and this would solidify that type of construction. That this variance will not adversely affect the health, safety, or general welfare of the public. No, that would not be, again, considered at this particular time due to the fact that, again, single-family residential development would be the only construction that could happen here. Such variance will not authorize the operation, the use of other than these specifically authorized for the district in which the property for which variance is being sought is located, and the answer to that would be no. The plight of the owner of the property for which the variance is sought is due to unique circumstances existing on the property, including but not limited to the area, shape, or slope, and that the unique circumstances were not created by the owner of the property and are not merely financial and are not due to the result of general conditions in the district which the property is located. And again, the answer is that the owner bought this home in this current configuration, and then is just, there to wanting to use its land in the appropriate manner. And we believe that's the case, and this is a perfect example of why a variance should be requested in this particular case. And again, to answer the last question, the variance is not a self-created hardship. It's true because the owner bought the property in this particular configuration. And in the sense of meeting all other property development standards, staff, if you can go to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Staff would recommend approve this request since it meets all the criteria. And again, it's a perfect example for this variance. The shape and existing configuration of the lot is presenting an undue hardship to the owner and to develop their property. This does not preclude the applicant from submitting building plans to permitting to any of the city departments. And if there are any other variances needed, they would have to come again before this board if they were to not meet some of the other property development standards. And staff would be remiss if they don't just remind the board is that if they feel at any given time that there is a reasonable condition that can be made that would help with the approval of this variance, if they choose to approve it, they're allowed to include those types of conditions. One of the conditions that we had brought up in conversation that staff had brought up is that Again, this is not necessary, but it might be something that you want to consider, is that having a larger setback to compensate for the reduced length of the property. But again, this will be at the board's discretion. Staff does not believe that that's necessary. It's just that it kind of gives an example of a condition for this particular property. So that concludes our presentation, and we would be happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Does the board have any questions? Not at this time. Mr. Dietrich?
Thank you, ma'am.
We would like to hear from the applicant at this time. Is the applicant present?
He's not here.
Okay. And we'll open the public hearing at this time, and we'd like to ask those who are for or in favor of this request. None being. And then we will ask for those who are against. And there are none at this time. So we will close the public hearing at this time and consider a request for the variance of the zoning ordinance 118-427 for a reduction in the minimum lot depth requirement in an R2 single-family district for a proposed subdivision of Lot 12, City Block 41, located at 1102 Logansport Street. This request has been submitted by the owner, Rudy Bohack, case file number ZBA 2024-04. And the board has an opportunity now to discuss this, if they would like. Any discussion by the board? None being, I will take a motion whether or not to grant the variance to Mr. Bohack.
I would move that we grant the variance in case file ZBA 2024-04.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have Mr. King made the motion and Mr. Schaffner seconded. At this time, we'll vote. I'll start with you.
I vote to approve the variance.
I vote to approve.
I vote to approve.
I vote to approve.
I vote to approve.
Motion carried, 5-0. And we have an approval of the variance. Do we need to go on with the discussion item? Okay. We're going to determine whether to hear a proposed agenda item regarding lot width previously addressed by this board under the zoning ordinance, but now wanting to be heard based on the appeal from the subdivision ordinance for 720 Martinsville Road. Does anybody have anybody on the board needs to say anything? I know that you asked for this to be discussed.
Yes, I would move that we schedule this appeal for our next regular meeting to be heard,
Okay.
so we can hear all the sides.
All right, I have a motion to complete this at the next regular meeting, which is August the 15th. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you very much. And let's vote.
I vote for it,
Okay,
to hear the appeal.
Against.
okay. Approve?
Approve.
Approve.
Okay, it's 4-1 approval. So we'll consider this at the August 15th meeting. And at this time, we'll consider this board adjourned.
Let's take the
Of
time.
time.
Yes.
4:32. Sorry.